Hello, hello. Happy Saturday. Welcome to Party Wipe, episode 46. We continue to work on our roguelike deck builder, where you draft an RPG party. How's it going, everybody? Hope you're having a good weekend. I know we're getting started a little late here. I'd like to have a nice leisurely weekend. I had my breakfast and a lot of cups of coffee, so I am blazing. Let's get this show on the road. Hey, Arneo, you're first. Hell yes, you are indeed. Dime Novel Hero, get to work. Working on it. You got it. All right, come on, Godot. All right, I want to try something. Once Godot is done, being like, getting ready to Godot. So we made some changes yesterday, such that, well, we provided direct movement, like obstacle. We added a free move thing so that we can freely reposition our characters. But I actually think I want to do this a little differently. I think I want to combine this approach with the approach we had before with the figure tokens. Like what we did before is we'd lift the token up and hide the original figure, the ranger on this square. And then we'd bring the little temporary token with us. And then you'd plant them. But the problem is you kind of just teleported. Like, you couldn't really remember where they started from, so I kind of want to mix that approach with the arrow approach, which will just require some slight changes, but I think it will be way more consistent and feel a lot better. But yeah, having an obstacle ignoring move is kind of cool. It's really just for teleport. I don't think it would be good for fly because it will like go through walls and shit too. That said, I don't know if anyone's gonna be able to fly. I mean, that would be a classic wizard spell. Hey, Rhiannon, how's it going? But yeah, we're gonna try that. I hope I didn't get rid of all that. I might have done, actually. Might have gotten rid of it. I did. I did get rid of it. I think I did. We're gonna hang out on this radio for a bit. You could have jump too as well instead of fly. Yeah, the problem is the limited. What in the heck am I doing here? It's false. The problem is that there's obstacles. Like, a tile is either passable or impassable, and we don't really make a distinction of like, oh, it's a solid wall versus, oh, it's a gap. So if the only kind of environmental obstacles we have are like gaps or things that theoretically could be traversed, and we can do stuff like that, kind of prevents us putting walls and stuff on the map, which is a little constraining, but it's a constraint I could live with. It's a constraint I could live with. Because I think having rooms in our little battle map area is not an option anyway. So anywhere we would want to put a wall, maybe instead we just put like a chasm or something that you could conceivably get over, rather than a wall which you'd have to like phase through, which doesn't work for things like fly or jump or whatever. But yeah, fly and jump would be cool. Those would be good. Those are some good, because those are also abilities that would scale very well. All right, so we need to hit the git here. We need to look at the diff. Brandon, you got the beginning stages of a headache, but otherwise it's going pretty good. Oof. Sorry about that. That was me yesterday at the start of the stream. Just drink coffee. Just drink more coffee. All right, I think we need to go here, and I think we need to look at the code I removed. Yes. Yes. Why did I think I needed to do this bound tiles thing every single frame? I don't know why I thought I needed to do that. It clearly isn't. But this code I'm taking, and we're going to add it back. All right, the music might be getting a little too crazy. I was enjoying it. Hey, Sapphire. We'll see what we draw on the next song. How's it going, everybody? All right, so when do we do the token thing? When do we create the token, basically? I'm actually not sure where we create this thing. Probably on dragged. That code might still exist. Actually, I probably just commented it out. That's probably what I did. Sometimes the diff is so useless. All right, this is like too much. Sapphire, it's been a Saturday. Grandma's currently in the hospital. Oh, I'm sorry. I hope your grandma is okay. I think it's this branch. This branch is going to need to clean up the token. Which maybe we should do in select and unselect. Maybe that's when we create the fig token. Or that's a time when we would create the fig token. Throwing out all the tokens and the coins. Thank you. Thank you, Footlong. Footlong Icicle. How's it going? Ooh, I really like that Jackie Godot chompy chomp. Oh, a Godot Goblin. That's very clever. That would be a funny thing. If I was a better artist, making a Godot Goblin would be awesome. They kind of the Godot bot kind of reminds me more of a kobold than a goblin, but you know, now we're just splitting. Now we're splitting tiny, low challenge rating dungeon creatures. All right, so I think I need to do it here. Actually, I need to do it when we're not actually doing a move. I need to do it like around here somewhere. Character selected and character selected is moving. If bound tiles.has cursor map, this might be it. If character selected. Yes. Okay. I've correctly identified the part of the code. There this goes. Can we do it here in the bound tiles? Kind of. Yeah, I think so. So we know character is selected. Fig token. Bound tiles has fig token tile is not equal to cursor map, and bound tiles has cursor map. So we know bound tiles has cursor map. So we can simplify life here. Do we need to check to see if fig by name has? I guess. Maybe we can do it like this. If not, character by tile has cursor map, or character by tile cursor map is equal to character selected. Okay, sure. Okay, well, we do need to create the tokens, which I guess we're gonna do down here. I had that. Oh, here we go. Create fig token. Destroy fig token. So we just need to invoke this, which I think we did under character fig select. Godot be the Godoblin. Good day to you, Godobi, the Godoblin. All right, destroy fig token. Create fig token. Destroy fig token. Does creating the fig token hide the original character? Yes. Good. All right, we'll see. We'll see what this does. We're going to need to make some additional changes. But what we're doing is we're like mixing the method from yesterday with the method from before, and we're going to kind of hopefully create something even better for previewing actions and movement, etc. Sorry, I'm having a lot of chemical reactions in my stomach due to all this coffee. All right, let's see if we can freely move over here through this wall of characters. Okay, so almost. It's a little too much. We're able to go literally anywhere. See, I like this. I kind of like this. I'm going to change. Oh. All right. I see why this is kind of not going to work. Unless I make more versions, which I actually could, of the sprite. We need to move the arrow back, but that means we need more versions of the arrow. We need like elbowed versions of the arrow, which actually is eminently feasible. But yeah, I like this better. Obviously, we need to clean up like what happens when we're outside of the boundaries and stuff, but does the move actually work? It kind of works. Okay, and if we... So this is... Now we go back to like the if you attempt to move onto a blocked tile, it fails, which is not exactly what I want. Oh, well, does it fail? Kind of fails. It gets like all the way up to the end and then stops. Well, it actually stops one before the end, which is not great. Okay, I think we can make this work, though. I think I prefer this to the one where the character stays anchored to their original spot and the arrow just stretches out in front of them. I like moving the token. I think it's better, and I think it's going to interact a lot better with when we start doing this with like abilities. Like if you drag a fireball out, the fireball icon should come with your cursor. It shouldn't stay where you started it, right? And I think character movement's the same way. Bye, Sapphire. Have a good weekend. See you next week. So let's work on the sprite a little bit here. Make this happen. Path grid line. Yeah. We need more space for these. How am I? So, okay, well, at least this isn't doing any kind of fancy tile map stuff. We have 2 spots here that we're not using. What we essentially need to do is make a version that's like this. Can I see the... I can't. We essentially need to make a version that's like this. So we can have a termination on an elbow. We need to add that. We currently don't have, we only have straight line terminations, and we need elbow terminations. And then that means we also need elbow terminations in every direction. So let's just go ham here. Double the size of this thing. I wonder what the logic is for selecting these. I'm actually not sure. Ah, there's a map. There's a mapping. Cool. I'm gonna really enjoy expanding this mapping. She said, deeply sarcastically. Hey, LSG. How's it going? Happy Saturday. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more of these. I might kind of change the way I position the arrows a little bit. So I would also kind of like one that's like more like this, maybe. For when you're just moving one tile. Maybe this would be better. Currently, this is like not in the center. For some reason, the arrows are not in the center, which seems kind of weird. Or maybe they are. Yeah, what we need is these 4. Probably like this. Sort of thing. Is there an organization to this that I don't absolutely hate? Probably like this. I don't love this, but at least this way I only have to expand this partially. You know, this is just sides. Is it possible to do this with terrains? Because this is just sides. That would be excellent. So I don't love what's happening here. It would be cool if we could just draw it and it would figure it out. Oh, but it doesn't understand directionality. That's why we have to do it this way. Terrain system doesn't understand directionality. So we couldn't have one end be the base of the arrow and the other end being the tip. LSG, you have a Factorio like prototype that you gave up on when you got to auto tiling belts. So daunting to you for some reason. I made a little belt sprite thing for Ludum Dare I crashed out of. It would have been cool. I liked it. I would not mind trying my hand at like a factory or warehouse kind of game. I mean, I know I've done a warehouse game already, and I liked it. I wouldn't mind trying my hand at something like that. So now I have to read this. So this means we start on the same tile and we head right one tile. So what we need is we need to identify which of these are the elbows. But how do I know if we're terminating? I guess it's more... It's a little more nuanced because we need to know that we're heading in this direction, but also that that's the end of the line. Because our problem right now is we can't actually draw like this terminating arrow at the end of an elbow shape. And I've added the sprites for it, and now we need the logic to be able to do it. Because right now you get weird situations. Right now you get weird situations of like... Yeah, because what I would really want is, I don't want the... Now that we're moving the token with the arrow, we've got a starting point. But the end point needs to be one back. We need to know about the last tile, but we need to only draw up into the second to last tile. And we need to alter the atlas considering. Should the terminate be a dot? No, I want it to be an arrow. I just want it to stop one tile before the character. Right now it goes right up onto the character, which was fine when the character was staying anchored to the origin. Also, how's it going, Mootsie? I would like the termination to just be the character itself. So that's not that hard. I might make a second... We're mixing together two different approaches we had for visualizing movement. One is like there's a little token that follows the cursor around that represents the character that's going to be moved. And the other is like tracing an arrow from the origin. And we're like trying to combine those two things, which just requires a little bit of adjustment. But happy Saturday. Hope you're having a good weekend here. So we do this last ID, current ID, next ID, which gives us all the information we need. Pretty much. Except for this part at the end. So we should do this, and then what we should do is modify it. For IDX, int in range, mini, size, steps plus 1. Size or steps plus 1. So it actually needs to be size minus 1. Because if size is greater than 1, and steps is greater than 0, so it can be size minus 1 or steps. So we switch that around. And so this way we'll stop before we hit the end. Steps, path, steps, int path size. So we should just check path size. Well, this alone should stop us from accidentally drawing all the way up until the last tile. Yeah, okay, so we got rid of that. I like this because it helps you trace your character where they were and everything. And we're going to use the same system for actions and stuff, so It'll help you trace where you're drawing an action from, or if you're moving and then acting. So like something like this is a problem too. I don't quite understand why we're in a situation like this. Oh, it's because the path is giving us a different... Oh. We need to synchronize the pathfinding system with the token positioning system. Because we get into weird situations where, like, we go over here and then we do this, and the pathfinding system is like, oh, there's a better way to get over here than what you were doing before, but it doesn't update this thing. So we actually need to just put the token wherever the like final position of the path map is. Let's do that. We also need to not be letting them get outside of bounds like this. We are wrapping up movement code, hopefully today. Just fixing some of these things. Love to move up. Do you need an X for not applicable? Do I? I think in some cases, maybe, but I don't know about for movement. Maybe. We'll see. I definitely want to do it for, like, card placement. Like, if you try to play a card that you can't play, if only because it doesn't meet, like, the level requirement, I do kind of want to tell you that somehow. Like right now, all we do is if you can't play a card, we just don't highlight the character token. So like if I try to equip a loot, only the bard gets highlight. And in fact, for some reason, this part's not getting highlight, even though it should. Oh, something broke. We're not highlighting the page anymore. We're only highlighting the figure. Well, that's a separate thing. I don't want to deal with that right now. That's kind of annoying. But I kind of want you to get blocked from playing a card that's too high level. But I kind of want to show that you can't do it with like a big X or something. Or maybe I just write level. Do something. Hold on, someone's texting me. Yeah, so what we want to do here is we want to update the character's position. Where are we even doing that would be my question. I guess we're not doing that is the trick. Actually, no, we have to be doing it somewhere, right? Let's see, fig token. Fig token dot position. So when we create it, sure, we're doing it. Here, character selected and blah blah blah. If fig token is not equal to fig token position equals map. Yeah, so we don't want to do this map to local cursor map thing. What we want to do is we want to say, we don't want to do token. What we want to do is we want to say, if not character by tile has, we want to say move path. We want to say move path size. Fig token tile is not equal to... No, we need to say like fig tile or move tile or something. You say variable. A variable move tile vector 2 I equals move path move path dot size -1. And then we can say not character by tile has move tile. Or move tile. Move tile. Tile. Ooh, move tile selected tile is not right. This is not right, but let's see what it looks like. But it's very wrong. Move. Actually, that's maybe okay. So the thing is, if you're like trying to close distance with a character, you might actually have to specify what side you want. And you know what? That's okay. It has to pick one by default anyway. Like if I want to move here relative to there, like if this was an enemy and I just wanted to move up and bop it, I could select a melee item. Actually, I could just move up. I don't know. It would be cool if you could do a move and attack in one button. But maybe that's not doable. Maybe we can tell. Maybe we can tell. But maybe you need to engage the action first. Maybe we can do something clever there. So what happens here? Maybe I don't need the arrow. Maybe the arrow is overkill. I kind of like the arrow, but it's also kind of disruptive. Because this doesn't have an arrow anymore, and I'm kind of okay with it. I'd kind of like the arrow, though, I guess. Let's just try it with the arrow and see how we feel. I do want to change the arrow, though. I want the arrow to be like more like this. I want like this thing. But I want the arrow part to be up here. Like that. I think that's more consistent with this. It's not totally consistent, but it's certainly more consistent. This is 4. This is 1. Would this be better? It feels a little cramped. Yeah, that's a little cramped. Everyone's chilling today, having a good time. All right, so we need to add some kind of trick here where we can tell. So this dictionary doesn't quite work anymore. This basically looks at where was the last tile relative to the current tile, or the next tile, not the current tile. Where's this tile relative to the current tile? And then what we also want to know is we kind of want to look 2 tiles ahead a little bit. We don't really need to look 2 tiles ahead, but what we kind of want to do is check to see if we're at the end or near the end. Like if the next tile would be the end. You're so tired today, LSG? Not planning on doing much. Probably gonna order something good for supper. Nice, nice. That sounds good. Yeah, Saturdays I usually just walk around down the street and pick up some tacos or burritos for me and my girlfriend. Saturdays are always a very low effort food day for us. Yeah, I actually don't know. We're going to try it with the arrow, but I'm not convinced that we actually need them. What we could do is at the origin, we could do a little dot kind of thing at the origin. Which is not what Mootsie suggested, but it got me thinking about it. Like instead of just having it be this, what if it was like a little... If it was like a little square like this. Instead. What if it was like you have a little origin dot? I kind of like that. I kind of like that idea. We'll try it. What happened to my horizontal straight line? Okay. I guess I moved it when I meant to copy paste it. Weird. I rock some fish and chips that are Thai curry. Ooh, nice. We had Thai food on or I think we technically had Burmese food on Thursday. It was good. I know there's a difference between Thai food and Burmese food. I just forgot. It is similar. They are similar, but they're different. This, I don't understand what's going on here. I think it's trying to go the other way. This is a little curious. What's happening here?
Oh yes, the sleeping pills.
I need something that's like, give me, if you give me a partial path to my objective. Also, I do kind of like the little origin dot. I don't know. Kind of okay with it. It's not as awesome as I thought it would be, but it's kind of okay. I think it's better than just a terminating line. I might make it hollow in the center. I don't know why. Like this. You like the dot? Okay, I think I might like a hollow dot, but I'm gonna try it. Yeah, I kind of like the hollow dot. Yeah, so now I have this problem of... So if I try to get to this tile, I obviously can't get to this tile, but the problem is we're stopping here because the Pathfinder is like, oh, we can't get here, so we can't get here. It's like, but you could go here, and that's closer. It's closer. The problem is this approach I'm using with the free move thing. Shit. Okay. Because if we weren't ignoring obstacles... we might need to turn obstacle avoidance back on. Tomato salad. We're eating with a party of 2. Here comes the gruesome twosome. Raid alert. How's it going? I am good. How is the stream? We need to turn this off. I don't know why the token thing is following me here. What's worse is we can click out here. Oh no, we can't click out here. But it's following me anyway. It needs to stop. We're trying to finish up our movement code. Alright, we're gonna try something. And I'm gonna see which... we have a lesser of 2 evils problem here. How's the stream? What have you been up to? Okay, so this is okay, but the problem is we can no longer... Like, if I wanted to deploy in here, I cannot because we're blocked from doing so. But at least we're not running into this issue where we're, like, stopping really short. I think I'm okay with this, actually. Because then we can do some fun things during deployment where, like, one of your characters might be stuck on an island because, like, the map is, like, deconstructed or something, or there's, like, obstacles in the way, or there's someone blocking it, or whatever. I'm okay with this. I'll keep the ignore ID path version, or the ignore obstacle thing, which might be useful at some point, but it causes a situation that we can't actually resolve normally. So I'm gonna just not worry about it. Thanks, the stream was good. You worked on the shader for turning your characters into bloody ones. It's more complex than expected, but it worked out. Nice. By bloody, you mean like they get like tomato juice on them, right? So we're trying to wrap up all the stuff for the deployment phase, which is like the first turn of a combat encounter, where the game takes all of your party members that are alive and just plops them down. And then you're allowed to free move. I think the fact that I say freely move your party members means it's okay for the movement to follow the constraints of movement, which is you can't bypass an obstacle. And like the worst thing about that is just going to be you might have to move someone in succession. Like you might need to move someone first to free up a path for someone else to move, and that's okay. I think that'll be okay. I think I can live with that. Oh, we do need to fix this thing, though, where you're allowed to path outside of... You're allowed to path outside of the boundaries. I don't know how much I care about that. But it's a good point because we actually don't want to allow the Pathfinder to do something like that. Where, like, if you're trying to move within, like, a finite space, like your move distance, we don't want you to... I guess you never would you? If the only path is, like, outside and around your move area, then it should never show you something like that. So that's another thing we gotta fix, I guess. That's okay. The only way to fix that, though, is to create... a new A-star grid just for that purpose. Which I don't really want to do. We're gonna see. We're gonna see if it matters. We're gonna see if it matters. I might do it just for deployment, just to hide that, because I don't think it actually affects normal movement. We'll have to see. Do they have to path at all during deployment? Technically, no. We could have them literally teleport around, but we had that set up originally, and it just looked kind of weird. It was kind of nice to have an artifact of, like, you could tell where they were, and you could tell how they're moving. So it's not a technical constraint, but it feels like kind of an aesthetic constraint. And I don't really mind. I don't mind the case where, like if I did this, and so, like, these two tiles on the left here are, like, inaccessible, and if you wanted to, like, put the bard there, they, like, can't get there. I'm kind of okay with that, because you could just move... Oop, you could just move someone out of the way. And then do it. And then if you really wanted to, you could move them back. I think it creates some interesting input randomness where, like, maybe your bard genuinely is isolated because, like, there's, like, a ravine that crosses the entire deployment zone thing, so they're just isolated and you can't actually support them. I think I'm okay with that kind of input randomness. I don't want you to be forced to just live with whatever the random starting deployment is, but I think I'd be okay with that in some cases. We'll see. All right, so what we want to do is we want to add arrows to this line. I'm actually not sold on the arrow, but I want to try it. I don't think the arrow is needed, but I just want to try it. Tomato salad, yes, exactly. You use two UV maps for them. For whatever reason, UV maps can get imported to Godot in different orders based on what materials you use in Blender. Oh, geez. Arneo, Ezra's back. He's holding a lesson on cache optimization. Yeah, go do that. Cache optimization is good. First step, make your own ECS. Good luck implementing cache optimization in Godot, I guess. I don't know. Everything is a reference in Godot, because they're all classes. I feel like you would never be in a situation where you could tightly manage the processing of your structs, like doing a structure of array or array of structure kind of thing that was sufficient to get, like, nice cache optimization. But maybe it's doable. Maybe I need to follow their lesson. I'm sure they'll put it on YouTube. So we have this map, this vector 4 to vector 2 mapping. And so we need to do something here. We need to kind of organize these sprites a little better. Depending on how I want to handle the auto tiling. What if it's just one? Do I actually want like this to be a thing? I don't know if I do. Do I want this to be a possibility? I mean, that looks kind of okay, actually. Let's see if we can do this. Let's see if we can do this whereby we can use our auto tiling tricks to make it happen. You try to program with CPU cache in mind. It probably doesn't do much in GDScript. I think it literally doesn't matter unless you're like, I need to process like a crazy amount of stuff in a frame. I think the number of games that benefit from cache line optimization, like, or cache utilization or whatever optimizations, I think the list is very small. I think it's a very small list. All right, let's move some stuff out of the way. See if we can make this happen. I don't really like doing the arbitrary dictionary lookup thing, so I'm going to see if I can do something better. So what I would like to do is have one be this. Kind of what you would want, something like this. No, this isn't gonna work. Do I just give up on the arrow? I kind of want the arrow. Hey, Lyndon Sylvester, how's it going? Happy Saturday. I kind of want the little arrow. Is that greedy? Seems a little greedy. Doing good. How are you doing? I'm doing all right. Nice. I slept in. Went and got like a brunch. late breakfast. Hanging out. You're dealing in the order of like n equals 32 at most, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, that was my attitude with this game. I was like, I know the size of the board. It's like our game board is 9 by 6. 10 by 8 if you count the exterior walls. That is so small. Like, I cared about it and did my ECS thing because for my FTL, like, because I knew that my spaces were like 64 by 64 by 64 at the largest. And like, that's the point at which you'd start to be like, if I need to do an everything against everything comparison, I actually care about that performance. But yeah, if you're only in 2 dimensions and you're talking about like maybe 16 by 16 or something like that, or small stuff, like, yeah, you're almost never gonna care about something like cache line optimization. I'm not saying it's not a good thing to be aware of and to think about, but like, you need to already be making like a simulation game. And if you're making a simulation game, GDScript is not the best language for that anyway. You'd probably want to write your simulation stuff out in C++ or something. And if you're doing that, sure, go ham. Go ham on actually having like a proper like struct packing and like getting your SOAs or AOSs all in order. Hey, Commander. How's it going? Yeah, I think it's good to always think of what's my worst case scenario. Like, when you start working on a game, you're like, what's the highest complexity that we're talking about? And that number, that upper bound, determines a lot of the way you approach design, for sure. And I knew that upper bound for this game was like nothing compared to my FTL-like game, which was very high because we needed to like be flood filling spaceships to like look for like cracks in the air, in the armor where oxygen could like escape and stuff like that. Like, if you're doing that, sure, right? Yeah, if you're doing these big 3D searches or whatever. If you're doing these let me look at everything. You probably don't even want everything in the scene tree at that point. Sylvester, you're trying to decide which of your projects you want to work on. Each is drastically different and have their own hurdles. Oh, that's cool. I am absolutely not a multi-project person. I like to say that I fall from rut to rut. Like, I like to be in a lane, super locked in, and then I'll eventually jump to another lane, but it's like I can't cross the lanes. What kind of different projects do you have going on? All right, so what we want to do here, we want to add an additional detail. So the way we do this is we have this lookup that's this vector 4 to vector 2 lookup, where the vector 2 is the atlas coordinate and the vector 4 is basically the first 2 numbers is the direction we came from, and the second 2 numbers are the direction we're going to. And that lets us know if we're like, are we the beginning of a thing? Are we the end of a thing? It's not sufficient on its own to an extent for our arrows. For the purpose of our arrow thing, like this 1 0 0 0. This goes to 1 3. Okay. Yeah, huh. Okay. I guess we don't use these very often. So for one thing we can get rid of.
Just wanted to call you early and say Happy New Year's before I get too blackout.
I don't like this song anymore. I don't like this weird vocal intro this song has. want to hear that song again. All right, so we have 9 here that we need support for. We've got 4 more. So we've got 9 plus 5, we've got 14 plus 8, 22 plus 4 more, 26. Yeah, that's an awkward number, that's for sure. I want to do this in a way that we can just increment, or like the Atlas chord, to make up for like a terminus kind of thing, like a termination. That's not super easy. That's the problem. And yeah, I want more. I want these. I want to have these. I want to add these. What we do like. But now this is literally like totally just random, and my system kind of breaks down now. Oh, you know what I could do? I actually see what I could do. I kind of see what I could do. Kind of want to do this the other way here. We do like this. So this would be like, it's 1 if you go this way, 2 if you go that way, 3 if you go both. So that's a good auto tiling trick. And it's going to fall apart though because of the need to do 2 of these. Yeah, I don't know if there's a way to do this without just manually pointing. We've identified this case. Because the problem is this can also be this or this. Commander, you decided to work on a semi-comprehensive online dictionary for one of the indigenous languages local to your area. That's what you're working on. That's cool. That's a cool thing to do. All right, so this is you start at 0 and you go to the right. This is you start at 0 and you go from the to the left. This is like you came from one or the other and are going to the other, and you're going continuously. I could start doing some things if I make this enormous. Could do some things. 1, 0, 1, 2. Okay. I might do this. This is dumb, but I might do this. I don't really care about efficient hacking here. I kind of what I care more about is efficient auto tiling. So we're gonna try this. Move these out of the way a little bit. That's not gonna work. I don't care. I guess we should just do it. We should just do it, man. We should just adapt a system like this, a lookup system that gives us the right behavior we want. And it's all just to have some nice little arrows. Which I don't even feel like I need, but I want them. I want the arrows. Sylvester, you've got a P2P app for content creators to flag bad actors that have passed through their communities. Interesting. Game similar to The Farmer was replaced. I haven't heard of that. Oh, it's the little code farm game. Yeah, this was dope. Man, this game did well. This is cool. It's like an incremental coding game. 4,000 reviews for it's been out a year. Good. Awesome. It's very cool. You love to see it. You also got a quality of life Discord bot. I don't know what RBAC means. Admins and base users don't see dev only commands. Dev commands aren't interesting. Yeah, that's a lot of projects. That's a lot of projects. Ooh, that looks so cool. So neat. What a cool game. Role-based access control. Okay, that's what RBAC means. Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, I admit I'm very much not like a DIY kind of person. But I admire anyone who is able to have all these different little projects. Yeah, I really want arrows. So the mechanism for detecting the arrow then. The thing that really messes me up is the bars here. The thing that really messes me up. The bars can have arrows in either direction. And this is just going to be hard to do without just arbitrary lookups. Also, does it kind of want to just be like this instead, actually? Yeah, it kind of does. Hey, Yaso? Thank you for the follow. Appreciate you. Jaso? We're having a happy Saturday here. Thanks for popping by. Yeah, I like that better. LSG, you wish you were more of a DIYer. You put up with a lot of inconvenience out of laziness. Yeah. I try to pick my battles very carefully. So my options are... So here are my options for setting this up. I either need to expand the key so that the key actually formally recognizes like whether we're at the end of the line. Or... Oh, also, how do I... If I can figure out how to represent directionality here, this is a lot easier. Oh, I do have... Oh, shit. Yes, there's an implicit directionality to this because we're iterating the path. That's good. That actually helps a lot. So we don't actually need to look at... Well, we do kind of need to look at where we came from and where we're going. But there's a little bit more... Well, maybe there's a little bit more flexibility here. Maybe not, though. I wish I could just use terrains, but terrains wouldn't be able to handle this. We have to trace the path. But yeah, what I would like to do is I would like to determine the base sprite for this part of the path and then just have a little check at the end of whether we've reached the end or not. And then if we've reached the end, then we can do the little arrow thing. We can pick, but I would like that to be a modification, like you just add 1 or add 2 or something like that, rather than having to do a separate lookup or have that formally represented in this. Because A, I don't have room. There's no vector 5. B, I don't really want to do it. I mean, I guess I could have just a separate atlas that's for terminating versus continuous. Or continuing, or whatever you want to call it. Sylvester, yeah, you run into a lot of, you want to do X, can you do X with what you currently have available? No, time to build the infrastructure you need yourself. Yeah, I would like to have the time to do that. That's my biggest constraint is time. I have to pick my battles very carefully for that. How's everyone doing over on YouTube? I see a ton of you there. I hope most of you are people. And not bots. But I see you. And I appreciate you hanging out here. Hope you're having a good Saturday. Hope you're having a chill weekend. If you're trying to get stuff done, I hope it comes easily. And if you're trying not to do anything, I hope nothing disturbs you. Yeah, LSG. The offset thing is the nice version. The problem is that's a very sparse way of organizing things. That's my preferred approach. That's what we do here with the the big one. Actually don't, yeah, this thing. The inbounds, the move inbound tile atlas. Where actually is that tile atlas? Bounds tile atlas, yeah, this thing. That's what this is. Right? This represents just all you do is check the neighbor data and you just jump to the tile you need. This is what I use for my borders, for the bounding boxes. It's not efficient. It's like a huge 16 by 16, you know, grid, but like we were saying earlier, 16 by 16 is nothing. So that's fine. Yeah, that's what I do here. Problem is, this is kind of a different case. And doing it that way is kind of burdensome. I think what I should do is have a terminating or continuous lookup. Probably what I should do. Let's see if we can make this happen in a way that's satisfying to me. So this is like, we're at the origin and we're going right. We're at the origin and we're going left. This is like... And if anything, I think I would want these flipped. But that's neither here nor there. Like I'd want this. And then both of them together is like this one, right? So it's like if you're on this tile and you're like, okay, we're either before or behind us is to the left, great, then you do this. And then here you're like, okay, either before or behind us is to the right. Like we either came from or are going to a tile to the right. And then this one is like, it's both. We've got a tile to the left of us and a tile to the right, right? And then what we need is a version of that which terminates. And this one's tough because this one can terminate on both ends. Maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll just do it and we just won't care about size. Which will involve moving a lot of stuff out of the way here. Because again, I think I said I'd rather have the auto tiling be easy than anything else. So like these are invalid. So we can just leave them blank. Yeah, this is going to get huge and incredibly inefficient if I do it this way though. I kind of see a way to do this though. Should be fine. Yeah, I see a way to do this. I think. All right, see you, Commander. All right, what we're gonna do, so this is the core, these are the core tiles. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna say, if your termination is negative, we'll pop to the right, I guess, maybe, or down. We'll do one or the other. It'll either be, you go along the X if it's a negative, and you'll go around along the Y if it's positive. I should just do this manually. There's 10 here. There's 22. 26. That's really not efficient to pack. Well, we'll just do it. Who cares? Just do this. So what I said was negative will go one way, positive will go the other way. We'll try this. We'll try positive goes down. We'll say the enemy's gate is down.
You believe in ghosts, Buck?
Oh, this doesn't quite work the way I would hoped it would. Why are we doing chest math? Long stream? No. Late, maybe. How's it going, Nix? Why are we doing chest math? I am trying to do this in a way where the auto tiling is simple. I'm trying to add arrows to our pathfinding thing, and I want the auto tiling to be easy, but the problem is making the auto tiling easy involves spreading things out over a very wide space. So I might just make it very dense and just be okay with that. I might just need to become okay with it. We're working on pathfinding. We're working on making the pathfinding aesthetically pleasing. I'm trying to wrap up all our movement stuff today. So we're doing some polish. And I want to add arrows to the pathfinding. But honestly, it probably would have been better if I had just not. Probably would be better if I had just not. I wonder if I can do some multi-purpose stuff here. We're gonna try. I think I see a solution. mixed with the 3-stream streak. Yeah, okay, here's the solution. This works. It's really inefficient from a packing standpoint, but from an auto tailing standpoint, this works. So basically, you pick the initial coordinates, and then if you reach a terminus, if it's an X terminus, you go along the X, you add 4 along the X. Oh, that kind of doesn't work. Well, shit. If it's either... How do I actually know the difference here? This doesn't quite work. You can't really do a terrains connection thing next because there's directionality to it. I wish I could just do a regular terrains neighborly thing. The problem is there's a direction to it. Like, it's not just about your 4 neighbors. It's how you're traveling through the space. And that's the complexity we're adding. And I could just manually write a dictionary lookup. I don't want to do it. What I want to do is not do that. But I might. Because this is a little troublesome. I guess what I can do is I can... The trick are these two. These two are making this tough. And what I can do is I could basically say... Okay, if we're only along one axis, like if we're not one of these elbow shapes or whatever, if we're only along an axis, we can say, I don't know, I probably should just hard code this, honestly. I don't understand what each block being a bigger number meaning would be, but the thing is there's an easy solution and I just don't want to do it. Don't want to do the easy solution. Because the easy solution is tedious. Problem is these two represent this edge case that I don't want to deal with. That doesn't work for any of the others. This is one of those, there's like very many ways we could solve this, and the one that I want to do is a little tricky here. Solution that I want is hard because it has an edge case, which is these two. Write a program that will write tedious boilerplate code for you? No. I don't actually want to make another auto tiling system. I prefer this solution, which is really stupid. The auto tiling code for this is like the simplest auto tiling code I've ever written because it just looks at the 4 neighbors and then just offsets offsets into the tile, the sprite sheet here, the Atlas coords correctly, just based off of the neighbors. Along with, actually, it looks at corners too, but it looks at corners on this scale. So like, here's all the corner data. So like, this is like no corners. This block is no corners, and then like this block is like the upper left corner. This block is like the upper right corner. So we do sides and corners. This is sides and corners, I think. Yeah. This is just looking at corners. So like, this was easy, relatively. It's inefficient, but it's very easy. And I want an easy solution here too. It's just a little tricky. It's just a little too tricky. And it's to generate some arrows that I'm not even convinced are going to be like good. Which is the real rough part. I think I should just define it manually. I think trying to be clever about this is not smart. I wonder if I can use the directionality to my advantage, though. Like, 0 would be start here. And then we can add 1 based on... Like, we can add 1 if we know that we're going negative x. We can add 2 if we know that we're going negative right. We can add 1 and 2 if we know that we started with a move. Yeah, this is really the trick, is what I do here. The dumb solution I had was like, oh, we'll just add 4 if we detect determination. But that doesn't work for this. This one's dumber. I guess what we could do is we could be like, oh, is where we came from and where we're going, is neither of those 0? And are they aligned completely in the same axis? Because these ones are not aligned in the same axis. These are like, we came from a y-axis direction or an x-axis direction. This is close. This is close to being okay in my mind. I just need to represent this exception. And so the difference between these two is that if we added them together, if we added them absolutely together, one of the axes would still be 0. In that case, we can engage this exception. Okay, I think I can live with this. I think I can live with this. We're gonna try this. So we're gonna ignore this for now. We'll say const atlas coords. It's a dictionary. Actually, it might be even simpler than all that. Also, this is sort of wrong the way I've built this here. This needs to be... like this. Then this needs to be the opposite. Like this. All right, we're going to do this without a lookup. We're going to do this like the way I've done it before. We're going to do this old school, which is going to suck. This is like more efficient, but that's fine. So now we start stepping. So we say for IDX int in range. All right, so now we need, so we still want all of these fields. We want like last ID, current ID, next ID. So what we do is we say, and then we want to generate these directions. And then here we'll say variable atlas key is a vector 2i. We'll just declare it to be vector 2i.0. And then we'll say if. So now we say things like, although we don't really care about last dir versus next dir in this case. And that's actually kind of a complication. So what we want is we want to say if last direction is not equal to vector 2i.0. So if we have a last direction, we need to input that, which means we're in this branch. We're either here, we're either in one of these, or we're in this. Actually, let's handle the simpler case first. Let's say if last direction is 0. OSG, dang, an ice cream truck drove by. Didn't know they still did those. Yeah, we have one in my neighborhood, and I'm in San Francisco. It is almost never ice cream truck weather, but the ice cream truck out here does really well. All right, so we're going to handle the simple case first. So what we'll do is we'll say if last dir is equal to vector 2i dot left. Hey, K-Cog, how's it going? We're going to say atlas key. Actually, it's not key. We're doing the raw atlas coords here. We'll say atlas coords. So if the last direction is vector 2i dot left. Actually, let's not nest this. Let's say atlas coords equals atlas. Let's say atlas coords dot x plus equals. Actually, it's if last direction is 0, then we'll say atlas coords plus equals 1 if next dir is equal to vector 2i dot left. Else 0. Say atlas coords dot x plus equals 2 if next dir is equal to Okay, that's the super simple case of last direction is 0. Then we know we're in one of these. And that's just, we just set those, and that's easy. We still need to do that. Actually, we can do this first. Maybe. Oh, no, this is fine. We'll say else. So if last direction is, if we have a last direction, we can do elif next direction is 0. Maybe that's the best way to do this. So we can say this is the other relatively simple case. And in that case, we're just talking about, we want to know, so in this case, what we want to know is we want to know if we've got an elbow or a straight. And the easiest way to tell if we have an elbow or a straight is by adding them all together. So we can say if last direction, we can say if absolute plus absolute next direction. Here, we can say, we can call that something. We can say dimensions, I guess. You can say like extent. How about let's say direction sign. Direction signs. Vector 2i equals. Actually, we don't need to care about the sign. We just care about, let's say extent. This is one of those things where it's complicated to do it simply. Just kind of frustrating. But, you know, it's life. This is all to achieve an aesthetic that I'm not sure I actually want. Just great. That's what you love to see. Extent is like the wrong word. Dims. Here. We can say X extends. Say extend. Oh. We can make this a bowl, actually. So what we can do is we can say absolute of this plus the absolute of this. Here, let's say variable absolute directions. And then what we can do is we can say if it extends in the X, here's what we'll do. We'll say we're going to say if this dot X is greater than 0 and y is also greater than 0. So if we extend along the x and the y axis, we have a more complicated case, and we can handle that case. Oh, wait, this can't be. We don't actually need to handle on this branch. This would be the else. This would be the final branch here. So let's worry about that in a minute. We're handling, I forgot we're just handling if next direction is 0. If next direction is 0, this is easy. If the next direction is 0 and the last direction is not 0, then we know we're in one of... Last direction, next direction. We know we're at one of these arrows. And in fact, we know that we're in one of these arrows. The only real question is which one. Actually, that's not a case here, is it? We can actually skip that. We can actually skip that case. That would actually be the sort of thing that we'd run into at the end. So we should say that. We should do that check first. We can just return. We know we're done when we've reached that point. We do a return here as well. We can draw this out. Actually, is return the wrong thing? No, so this is return. This would be continue. So we do this, and then we would say, we would set the cell. And then here we can, now we can do this stuff. So if we know that we know if we've reached the end, we don't draw that and we just stop. If we know that we're at a starting point, we can just do a simple check and continue. Otherwise, I think we still need to do this part. So in this remaining case, we know that neither of these is 0. Oh, we actually need to do one more thing. So stupid. Why do I do these things to myself? I'm like, I want a slight aesthetic feature. Could I actually use the 0, the terminating 0, differently then? And actually go back to just doing a dictionary lookup? Because I realize we don't actually draw... We don't actually draw this case of the next direction being 0, 0. We actually want... We can actually use this to represent something else so I don't have to do this whole thing. That might be preferable, honestly, to just the whole mess that I've put myself in here. Because if we did it that way, then what I would do is I would need the only thing I would need to change instead of next direction like this, what we would do is we would define we'd define next direction as this, but we would have another check of like if we're at the end. Hey Ronnie, how's it going? You woke up at midnight, so going weird. That is weird. Hope that isn't been too disruptive for you. It sounds like it would be. Hopefully it's all right. We kind of got into the weeds here. I'm trying to update our little pathfinding arrow things, or our pathfinding trace thing, to include terminating arrows, and it's ended up becoming way more complicated than it needed to be. Oh, can I do a trick here, actually? I think I can do a trick here. So we say draw path. Path is array vector 2i. So we just we drop in the path, and the path is 2 tiles bigger than what we want, really. Well, not too bigger. It always is 1. It's always at least 1, because it starts with the tile that we are currently on. And we only draw a path if it's greater than 1. So then the number of steps is actually path.size minus 1. I've optionally given you the ability to specify a set of steps that's smaller than that. And so this will cut us short, and this will give us the correct value at next direction. Okay. Okay, we're going back to just a manually defined dictionary. Because now I can use... I was worried about not being able to use all of the keys, but now we can use the keys that terminate in 0, where the next direction is 0. Those actually represent the correct thing now. Oh, but shit. No, I actually need to know what it is, though. This is the problem. So, like, I need to know the final tile that the character is on, which we are not drawing in the path, but I need to know which way it is because of these turning arrows, right? So I actually can't subtract that by 1. Although, shouldn't that number still be size minus 1? Why is it path.size for steps? So if the path size is 2, then the step size should be 1. Because you're only taking 1 step. So yeah, it should be path size minus 1. Okay, so back to this, back to some kind of awkward auto tiling thing. Unless I do something really weird, like... Could I do this? All right, I think I have a compromise in mind. I'm going to try it. It would use the hard-coded lookup and then use an offset from the hard-coded lookup. So it's like a mixed solution. It's not just the pure auto-tiling thing. I might be okay with this. Let me see. I think I could live with that. See if this works out. I know this is like maybe one of the more boring things I could be doing on stream, but appreciate you all hanging out here. I hope you're just having a chill day. Oh, I actually see a weird detail here that I think I can make work. I think we can do some tricks. Like, here's a trick. Okay, I think we figured it out. I think we figured out a compromise. Like a literal compromise. We're going to do this thing where, like, we're going to hard code the initial coordinate. And then we're going to use the terminus, the terminating thing, as an offset. So it's like, if this is the original coordinate and we know it terminates in a negative x direction, you go -1. And you know if it terminates in a positive x direction, you go positive x1. And then so that works for this as well. So you've got your like 2, and then you just check to see in which direction it terminates. And if it terminates to the left, you go left. If it terminates to the right, you go right. So it's like a mixed solution, and I think it will work. I think it's the best we're going to come up with. Hopefully it doesn't end up being literally the worst solution. Like, the worst of all. I think it'll be okay. I think this is in the wrong spot. There we go. Let's see if it fits. That's kind of maybe the only thing I'm concerned about. Oh, this is in the wrong order. It's not any more efficient in terms of space, but it might be. We might be able to finagle this a little bit. No, it actually looks like it's going to continue to be inefficient in terms of space, but I can at least reason about this more easily. And you know what? That's a great thing to be able to do. Optimizing for being able to like understand what you're doing is pretty strong optimization, in my opinion. Where the heck is this one? There it is. Okay, I don't think this can actually be packed really any more tightly. It could a little, but not in a way that I think is worth bothering with. Yeah, not in a way that's worth bothering with. There we go. So this is our solution. Kind of mixed solution. Well, I better like what the arrows look like, or this will have been a lot of effort for very little. Ezra. Ezra's in the house. Raid from the guru. Ezra themselves. Raid alert, everyone. How's it going? How's it going, Ezra? How's everyone doing? Long time no stream. I know. What have you been up to? Did you go to Godot Con or anything fun? You gotta run. All right, you're doing a segment-based stream. I heard it was about cache utilization, which if you're putting that up as a VOD, I would be interested in seeing that. Because I don't know how you do that in GDScript. But yeah, raid and run, no worries. I'll catch you next time. Appreciate you bringing some fresh raiders in here. How's it going, Nazareth Studios? This is Digital Iliad. We are working on a roguelike deck builder. Arnio, one of your stream tabs rated your other stream tab. Isn't it nice when that happens? Hey, Felix. Good to see you. We are Void. McCory. You spin the wheel, choose a topic regarding game dev so that every stream is lesson learned for you and everyone. Then you pipeline to YouTube immediately. Oh, hell yes. That sounds like a great formulation. Okay. That's what I thought. You're like doing ECS plus cache optimization. I was like, I feel like if you're going to do cache optimization, step one is to write your own ECS. I'm glad to know I wasn't wrong about that. I was like, I don't see how you do that without like redefining how Godot thinks about data. I was like, I feel like you'd at least need to do some kind of AOS or SOA kind of thing. Probably SOA would be better, but depends. Depends on what you're talking, what kind of data transformations you're talking about. Yeah, I learned the hard way. It's tricky with Godot. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, what I did is I just wrote an ECS in C# and I just basically ignore Godot. Basically don't talk to Godot when I'm doing that part. But I wish I was smart enough to have done it in C++. That would have been the killer move. But yeah, have a great weekend. I know you said you got to run. But I'll catch another one of these segments. I'd be interested. All right, so we got our last ID, our current ID, and our next ID. What we want to know is we want to know one more thing, which is like terminus, if we're at the terminus. And we're at the terminus if... We know we're at the terminus if next ID is the same as... path this. I guess I could hard code this somewhere. Do I actually need to know size? Probably don't. Take it easy, Ezra. I'd show the game right now, but things are in a slightly broken state. Maybe I could show it anyway. I would just need to go in here and hide this. I think that would be okay. We're working on the movement stuff. We're fixing a little visualization of our pathfinding. But yeah, this is a roguelike deck builder where you draft an RPG party. Your cards are your characters and their equipment. You end up battling out on this little turn-based map. We're finishing up our movement code, which is like the last step of this deployment phase. And then we can get to like acting, like attacking, using abilities and stuff like that. But yeah, we have this movement system, but we also have a little path drawing thing that shows you where you're like coming from. And that I'm refining slightly. That's what we're doing today. Drink some water. I'm forgetting to drink water. All right, so we got to do a couple of tedious code things here. We're going to say if max steps is greater than 0. And then we'll say for index and range, max steps. We don't actually need size then. Okay, apparently we need it here. We need to see is IDX plus 1 if IDX plus 1 Oh, we don't want to start with the first one, do we? No, we do. Step 0. So we'll say if idx plus 1 is less than max steps, else max steps minus 1. You just say max, I guess. Trying to make this short enough that I can read it on one line. Oh, is max aliasing a built-in variable? It probably is, isn't it? Shadowed global identifier. Yeah, great. Okay. Call it something else. How are the indexes? Oh, they're indexing. How's it going, Hex? I say max index. Okay, so we know if we're at the terminus, if the next ID is the same as the last ID. And then so what we can do here is we can say variable atlas key. So we need to make the atlas key. Actually, what we need to do is we need to plug in the atlas key. This is going to suck. I have to rewrite this part. You're dealing with some indexes of your own? Yeah, ain't that just the way? All right, so 0, 0, 1, 0. Do I want to start with 1, 0 or negative 1, 0? I kind of want to start with negative 1, 0. I'm going to rewrite this. Just so I don't accidentally miss something, which is the classic thing that I would do. So we're going to say vector 4i. We're starting at 0, 0, and we're heading to negative 1, 0. That would be this, which is, or that would be this, which would be 0, 1, 2, 2, 0. Say we'll do the opposite one. Just vector 4i 0, 0, 0 minus 1. Then we can do the opposites actually. So this is 3, 0 and 0, 3. Now we can have, I'm gonna add the combination one here, vector 4i, so minus 1, 0, Do I need to have both? I guess I need to have both, huh? -1, 0 to 1, 0. Vector 2i. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, 0. And then we need the reverse as well, which is vector 4i, 1, 0, and then -1, 0. Good thing just the keys need to be unique, huh? Well, sorry we're not doing like a cool technical lecture like Ezra was. Everyone's chilling anyway. I've done more data-oriented stuff with Godot. And like I said, my solution ended up being to build the little entity component system, like a super bare bones entity component system in C#, because that was the language that, you know, Godot supports that I'm familiar enough with to be able to do something like that. Optimally, I think I would have just used Flex or something, something that is written in C++ and that can just kind of get bound to Godot. But I wanted it to be my thing because I wanted to know how it worked. You're in and out of a couch nap. Food is on the way. Yeah, it sounds like you're getting more into a couch nap than out of then. But that sounds good. That sounds excellent. Okay, so those were the first. So I only have 4 more entries. At least this dictionary is simpler. So I have these 4 entries, which is -1, 0, or 0, -1. Vector 4i, -1, 0, 0, -1, which leads to, I should have checked that, 2, 2. And then this one is 3, 2. And it is 1, -1. So there's 2 keys for every single one value, which is, well, maybe not every single one, but for any of the bidirectional ones. Why doesn't this work? Oh. That's a good reason why it didn't work. And this one is -1 along the X and +1 along the Y. Glad we ended up doing this. This is way easier for me to wrap my head around than the other 2 quote-unquote pure solutions. Really glad we went with a mixed solution. So I wanted to just do a raw auto tiling using just pure neighbor information, but it ended up being too raw. It ended up being like Gordon Ramsay raw. It's raw. Now this one, which is the 3, 3, which is +X and +Y in whichever order. Yeah, this is somehow simpler than my other solution, which is interesting. Like than the original solution. So that's nice. You love to see it. Yeah, this is a smaller dictionary than this was. I guess I should keep it in case I change my mind about it aesthetically, but I'll probably still come up with I'll probably still use it. Okay, so the way we iterate through this, we got our last ID, current ID, and next ID. We calculate the last direction and the next direction. We understand that we're at the terminus if the next ID is the same as this. Wait, why is this else max IDX minus 1? Shouldn't it be just else max IDX? I guess what this should say is IDX plus 1 if IDX plus 1 is less than or equal to max IDX. Else max IDX. I realized we were doing size and not index before, which is why it looked like that, I think. Okay, so we go through this, and then here, the way it used to work is you just plugged in the directions, which I guess is exactly what we're doing here. So we say atlas key is this. Variable atlas key is this. And then what we do is we say we also need to set the atlas coords then. So we could actually just say atlas coords. Vector 4i. That's a vector 2i. And it equals atlas coords. Atlas key. And then now we just need to do some slight modifications. If we're at the terminus. Only if we're at the terminus. If terminus. Hey, Giddy Breadstick. Been a while. How's the game coming along? It's all right. It's all right. It's coming along all right. We're trying to wrap up the movement code, which involves some path drawing. So you can't see it because I disabled it for now while we're fixing it. But we're in a pretty good spot. We're closing up the deployment phase, like the first game phase, which is like where you reposition your units, which you can do for free. But I want to draw a little path like you would do normally with pathfinding. There's a couple of tricks, like we gotta fix this. But we introduced some bugs recently. But what we're gonna do is the next step is to move from the deployment phase into the combat phase, where characters can start performing actions, like they can attack with their weapons or they can use their abilities. We want to add a card drafting phase, but I'm not going to start with that because I think we need to validate the gameplay loop a little bit before we worry about card drafting, like drafting your actual party members and their equipment. I'm just giving the player like a random. We also have some issues to work out, like the cards are too small for the text. Gotta think about how I'm gonna fix that. Looking good? Yeah, it looks good. It doesn't really play yet, but we're definitely all in on the looks. We're looks maxing, as the kids might say. If the kids cared at all about this. Yeah, we're adding a little path trail that includes arrows. So I'm working on that right now. All right, so if we're at the terminus, actually, you know what? We could see if this works right now without the terminus thing. Let's just say, we'll just say pass. And then we'll say set cell current ID 0 atlas coords atlas e. I think all I have to do is technically fix a couple of things here. We need to fix the path grid a little bit. Yeah, I messed up the path grid. Path grid, tile set. Does he use the same tile set? Path tile set. We need to make a new one of these. We need to make a distinction. Or, no, let's make a distinction. Let's say path grid tile set. .tres. And then we'll delete this and add the fill. Where's the stupid, like, fill? This one. I'm gonna do this, but we're gonna make them... Oh, shit. Well, never mind. I guess we'll use this. Actually, do this here. I guess we will do one tile set. Let's delete this one then. Yeah, I hope things are going good for you, kitty breadstick. Path grid tile set .tres. No, we just want the path tile set. Upload path tile set. We'll say default path tiles. Actually, we probably want to call these move path tiles or something. Oh no, they're path tiles. I don't know. Be yellow. MOV. I don't know. We'll burn that bridge when we get to it. So then this just needs to be repainted. So these. Oh wait, this is also the wrong. So these are free. And these are blocked. I like using something like this so I can like visualize them. Like, this is how I paint pathability. So like orange represents an obstacle. And in fact, I probably need to update some code somewhere to make that work correctly. Probably here. Probably here. I want to say get cell atlas coords cell equals solid. Okay, so we can just define solid up here. Clear is actually vector 2i dot 1, and solid is actually vector 2i dot 0. And that should work. Stop opening this tile set. That should be all I need to do, I think. Set cell ID 0 solid, if solid, else clear. Yeah, that's all I need to do. I think. We'll quickly validate that. Yep, you can see the orange tile. And you can see if I grab this. It doesn't update yet. Oh, that shouldn't let me get there. Oh, it's taking me the long way around, that's why. Interesting. Yeah, it'll update that marker when we move the character. That works. Hide that now. It's nice to have an easy debug view like that. I like doing this where I set data. I use tile map layers to hold data. The thing I've learned is don't do it if the tile data needs to change often. If it's like edit time configuration stuff, that's fine. But if you're doing it for runtime stuff, just make the tile map a view into the data, not the data itself. In fact, you should probably never make the tile map the data itself, but probably almost always better if it's the view into the data. But sometimes you want to do it the easy way, you know? Sometimes it's tempting to do it the easy way. In fact, it's always tempting to do it the easy way. All right, now let's see if this works for the simple case. So I commented out a piece of code here. I just gotta add it back, this part. There we go. So now does this... Okay, so the basic case works still. The case without the arrows. Now let's add the arrows. Just this one last little line here, which is if terminus. So what we want to say is if terminus, what we want to say is we just say atlas chords plus equals 1 if next dir atlas chords dot x here what we can do, we can say if next dir dot x is not equal to 0, I think. Yeah, sure. Next dir is not equal to 0. We can say atlas chords dot x plus equals 1 if next dir dot x is greater than 0. Else minus 1. Here we can say elif next dir dot y is not equal to 0. Actually, no. No, yeah, that's right. Never mind. 0. Chords dot y. 1. Minus 1. That should work. That should be all the logic we need. For the arrows. Let's see if that's true. Seemingly not. Seemingly not. I think the terminus logic is broken. Giddy, watching, you're saying watching my stuff has been very inspiring for you. You're working on a little deck builder whenever you have free time. The series has been very helpful. Oh, that's nice to hear. I don't feel like anything that I do is instructive, but I hope it's nice. What kind of flavor of deck builder are you messing around with? All right, so why are the arrows not being drawn? Oh yeah, you know, we needed to come up short, right? So we don't actually want to draw the last tile. Which is why max index is up here. So this check is actually not necessary, but because it's never going to equal... No, hold on a second here. Next ID, IDX plus 1, but if index plus 1. Is less than or equal to max index. So if it would exceed, we'll just clamp it, but we literally don't need to do this. I just have it in here as a safety check because we were doing it. And so terminus is, boom, next ID is the same as the last tile. Yeah, I actually do want to know that. So the penultimate tile, terminus should be true. We're just going to see if we ever get there. Feels like we don't. Okay, maybe we do. Steps is 3. Actually, IDX is 3. Index 2. So last ID was 2, 4. Next ID is 3, 4. So we move 1 along X. And then the next ID is 3, 3. So next dir is -1. Oh, wait, what am I saying here? Am I saying terminus next ID is equal to path? And then terminus is true. And Atlas chords is 2, 2. Atlas chords, if nextdir.x is not 0. So nextdir in this case, the x is -1. Elif nextdir.y is not equal to 0. Atlas chords.y plus equals 1 if... Oh, Atlas chords, Atlas key. I'm so dumb. We're not actually plugging Atlas chords in. We're modifying it and then not using the modification. Slay the Spire, you guess? Okay, it's not a bad, that's not a bad inspiration to choose. You could do well worse. Oh, crash? Oh no, breakpoint. Is there a little twist? Is there a little twist on it? Okay, so here it is with the arrows. Okay, I like it with the arrow. I think this was... It might still have been, you know, a little bit too much. It still might have been, you know, not the best use of a whole Saturday, but... I'm relatively pleased with the outcome here. I think it looks better than without the arrow. Looks good. Okay. Thank you for validating me. Okay, the thing I really need to fix is this whole we can move around here outside of here. We don't actually fix it. There's a cleanup thing I need to do. I don't know if I have time now, though. We're very close to the end of the stream. But yeah, I like this. This is good because this is also going to be very useful for attacks and stuff and like abilities. Like if you grab like a fireball or something and you drag it off of your character, you'll get this kind of arrow thing. We might skip, if it's an ability, we might skip the initial drawing over thing because there will be a character still there, but maybe not. We'll see. We're gonna use like red probably for actions. We use yellow for movement here. I need to clean this up though. Like we shouldn't be drawing the figure token out here. And then B, if we fail a click out here, or we do something even worse, like we unselect move. Right now we've like marooned this figurine here. Even though he's still here. We don't clean up that case. Let's see if we can do that in like 5 minutes. I gotta go play the big walk with some friends, which I'm excited for. It's like a new co-op game. Said I'd play this weekend. But we did something. We found a relatively simple solution for a problem we wanted. The mixed solution ended up being the best solution, which is often how it is. Big walk is great. Okay, that's good to hear. Yeah, we've played like Peak. We've played recently. We've played like Peak, Gamble with your friends. That's fun. We were playing what's the Peak Dev's new game? It's like a warehouse kind of game. I think it's Aggro Crab's new game. Or maybe it's Landfall's game. Crash Out Crew. We were playing Crash Out Crew. That's a good one. A lot of good friend slop games. But yeah, I'm interested to try Big Walk. I don't know if I'm sold on it because I'm not like a big puzzler. But I think the social interactions make it well worth it. All right, I might fix the bugs later. We might just raid out. There's a lot of you on YouTube. I really appreciate y'all. I hope you're not mostly bots. I know I shouldn't say that. I'm sure you're all human beings, but I just don't understand. I don't understand where you all came from or why you want to be here. And my imposter syndrome tells me that like it can't be real. It can't be real. That's what my imposter syndrome tells me. But I know some of you are real, like you, Giddy Breadstick. So I gotta fix this bug next time, which is you'll notice that like we can get around an obstacle like this by just going outside of the bounds of the move, which is not something that it should be allowed. Arguably, it could be allowed during deployment, but it's definitely something I need to clean up because it means that the pathfinding system doesn't respect the bounds of the movement. And then we also need to like handle this where like we're like in the middle of a move and then the cursor like leaves the bounded area. We should do what we do here, which is we just stop controlling the character, and then if you like click out, nothing happens. If I terminate the move, what happens? Yeah, we're left in a bad state. So I need to fix some of these little edge cases, but we're looking good otherwise. Hey, Matthew Sparks. Holy crap, why are so many people here today? For the last couple of weeks, that's been the situation. And I don't know what it is. My stats haven't changed that much in terms of like, my stats haven't changed very much in terms of impressions that YouTube is giving me. Impressions are actually down over the last month, which means it's not showing my stuff to many people, but either we're getting botted, like view botted, like really badly, or the game is visually interesting and the thumbnail has been improved and people just need somewhere to hang out. And I don't know. I don't know what is true anymore. I don't know what is true anymore in this age of AI and everything. I'm not an AI, let me promise you that. But I don't know. I don't know what is true anymore. But we're gonna find someone to raid out over here on Twitch. Big Boy's going. We might go hang out with Big Boy. It's pretty much either always Big Boy or Hypnotic. They're making a tic-tac-toe game called Tactic-Toe. Okay, that sounds pretty great. I think we might have to head over there. Thumbnails are thumbnailing. Yeah, I honestly don't know. I want to believe, but my bullshit detector is going off, which is also the same thing as my... The live streams and VODs are getting recommended to you a lot. Okay, maybe it's working. Maybe it's not so much the scale as maybe YouTube knows what my audience is now, and it's showing me to the right people. Not that it's showing me to like a ton of people, but maybe it's showing me to the right people. I don't know. I don't know how to interpret it. Once I start putting out like YouTube shorts and stuff, maybe we'll get a better idea of whether this is real engagement or not. But I hope you're real. I hope you're all real. I hope you're real, Matthew Sparks. Chat activity is very low, which is what makes me think that these might not all be real people, but I don't know. I don't know what to believe anymore. I want to believe. Can't we believe in Christmas? In all the good things in the world? I want to believe. But it can't possibly be real. I rarely even see Randy get more than like this kind of level of viewer count. So I don't know. I think someone's view botting me. But if you're all for the humans of you in the audience, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I don't want to like take away from your impact of just showing up and being here and being part of the community here. I really appreciate it. You're not real, Matthew Sparks? Can confirm. That's funny. But yeah, we're going to go hang out with Big Boy Games. They're working on a tic-tac-toe game that they're calling Tactics Toe, and I'm kind of interested. I'll have to go play the Big Walk, but I don't want to hear what they're doing. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you next week. Bye.